Okay, so let us start with the today's topic. That is nothing but, you can say, event loop in the Node.js. If you want to attend any interview of a Node.js, if you want to attend interview of the front end, what exactly this event loop, you will get a question on the event loop. So we'll discuss on that part, how exactly event loop works. Okay, I hope you can see my screen.
Not it, sir.
Okay, now can you see my screen?
Yeah, now it is.
Okay. Okay. Now, what is event loop? Right? What is event loop? That we are going to discuss. Before that, what do you mean by, you need to know what is a call stack? That is really important. What Node.js provides you, what browser provides you, that things are important, that we will discuss. So this is one of the simulator which will exactly tell you, this is one of what simulator that is exactly tell you how exactly these things are working, right? How exactly these things are working. Yes, last time we have seen one example. If you see, I have given this as 0, right? I have given to the timeout, I have given one thing as 0, but still that was executing later on. Reason today you will get to know. Okay, so one of this is simulator one developer has created to understand the event loop, how Node.js or the both in a Node.js also in a web it works in the same fashion. So what is a call stack? We will remember first, right? Call stack, this is a stack. In the beginning you need to remember, this is what stack. Whenever you call the methods, right, whenever you call, here I have one method main, then main is going to call calculate, then we have another method, say hi, like that. So whenever methods are getting calculated, they pushed to the stack, they execute, they come back. Once execution happen, they come back. So main is going to start your everything. So first main would be pushed on the stack, then calculate would be getting pushed on the stack, right? If calculate gets executed, that has been removed from the stack. The next method say hi would be getting called, say hi would be getting executed, that would be removed on the stack, main would be getting removed from the stack. Callback, right? What we are discussing, event loop. The moment you talk about event loop, remember that you are talking about Node's internal working, how Node or JavaScript runtime is working internally with your methods. Again I will explain the method. First method who is calling all the things, that is main, is going to get loaded into the stack. Main is going to call calculate, execution of calculate will perform, execution of calculate will happen, then output of calculate would be stored or whatever, then calculate will go out of the stack, right? It's a stack, so this would be popped. Then again, if there is a new method called say hi, that would be pushed on the stack, method would be getting executed, output would be there, then again it would be removed from the stack. Then if intention of a main is to execute these two methods, calculate and say hi, main will execute and main will also come out of the stack. This is nothing but what this stack is. That is nothing but what this stack is. Now if you see this simple program, if you see, it is nothing but jQuery code. They have written button click. On the click of button, you need to add timeout. On the click of button, what? You need to add timeout. So it has printed console.log hi, set timeout, and console.log welcome to loop. This is one of the loop is simulator, how exactly this runs. Just try to save and run. See now time. I'll explain what the hell is happening here. And see. So for example, let's try to comment this out. I'll comment this code. Okay, only this much code will keep. Save and run. Console.log hi, then timeout, then this has been printed, and last thing is welcome to the loop. Now this click me won't work. See again, console.log hi. Okay, then you have a timeout function. The timeout function would be getting executed after 5000 milliseconds, and after that console.log welcome to loop is there. So just again save and run. Timeout would be getting executed. See now here, timeout function for 5000 milliseconds, it would be pushed to the queue. Now when you talk about these things, when you talk about what I'm saying, when you talk about these things, call stack, web APIs and callback queue, remember that your runtime will give you only stack. Your runtime will give you only this stack, right? Now what is going to happen over here? First, console.log hi is going to get executed, right? Console.log hi is going to get executed. Then timeout function would be getting executed over here. If you see hi, then timeout function has been pushed to the stack. Then timeout function will go to something called as web APIs, right? Here timeout function won't execute on a stack. There is one more thing to understand. In the terms of internals of the event loop. Your complete Node.js execution happens on a single thread. This happens on a single thread, right? So what happens whenever method comes to execution, right? They push to the stack. They push to what? Stack. Whatever methods are there, every method execution would be pushed to the stack, right? But whenever there are features like timeout, right? Timeout is going to execute after 5000 milliseconds. Timeout function is going to execute this timeout function is going to get, you can make any name XYZ, so that I can say this XYZ function is going to get execute after 5000 milliseconds. But till that time, where it would be pushed? It would be pushed on the web API, right? Now see what will happen. As per the principle, every function would be pushed on the stack. So here we are pushing the function on the stack. Console.log, just refresh it. Console.log would be first pushed on the stack, then timeout would be pushed on the stack. But timeout is not normal function. Timeout says that I have a function xyz, I am going to execute that function after 5000 milliseconds. So this 5000 milliseconds would be performed on the web APIs. In the Node.js environment, we are on the browser environment, remember that. But on the Node.js environment, these web APIs are nothing but what? C++ API. So on the Node.js environment, these web APIs are called as C++ environments. So what is going to happen? Call.high is a normal call. It would be getting executed over here, right? Then set timeout will come. Timeout will also, execution of timeout will also pushed on the call stack. But timeout says that I have a function, right? I have a function that would be getting executed after 5000 milliseconds. So that 5000 milliseconds it's spent on the web API. Once 5000 milliseconds has done, once 5000 milliseconds are there, right, or completed, this function is getting executed over what we can say callback queue, right? Because there are many such timeouts would be executing over here, many such async API. Actually this timeout is called as asynchronous API. What that timeout is called as? Asynchronous API. All the asynchronous API are executed under the web API, because normally you start typing the code likewise this, there are 2 timeouts, 3 timeouts, you can say XYZ, PQR, ABC, okay, ABC. So here I can say XYZ executed, here I can say PQR executed, here I can say ABC executed. So whenever you go to the interview, you will get this question for sure: what is event loop? If you are going for the expert interview, right, expect this question: what is event loop? This thing you have to explain. With the visualization we are discussing, just save and run. See carefully. First console.log would be on the call stack, then timeout would be on the call stack. The timeout will execute and disappear, and execution of this 5000 millisecond will start over here. Then again this timeout would be over here, execution will start over here, again this timeout is there, execution will start over here, and the response and the respective outputs are pushed to the queue, and queue is checking continuously, am I having something, am I having something, am I having something. Just see that if it finds something, it push on the call stack. The things which are expected to happen after some time or in the future, the things which are expected to happen in the future are pushed on the callback queue. So web API set timeout is a future function, set timeout is a future function, set timeout is a future function which would be executing over here, right? 5000 milliseconds would be executing over here. So let's change this also. Here we can say 3000 and here we can say 8000. Okay, just try to run it. See, high, then first timeout, then second timeout, then third timeout. See, after can you see callbacks are getting there that are pushed to the call stack, and see again it would be getting pushed, and ABC would be getting under execution, and you will get the result like this. Again see, high would be on the call stack first, then normal timeout would be executed over here, but the thing which would be expected to run in the future will be pushed to the APIs. Timeout would be executed over here, but the thing which would be expected to run in the future, right, would be pushed over here. Again this would be executed on the stack, but the thing which would be expected to run in the future would be pushed to the API. Then that future operation would be getting performed. Once operation would be getting performed, the particular function would be pushed on the callback queue, right? See again. What's that? See again, hi. Then first timeout, executed. Second timeout, over there. Third timeout, over there. Then can you see functions are pushed to the callback? Here stack is executing the function, XYZ executing the function, ABC executing the function, like this. Let's try to increase the delay. Here I can say 10,000 millisecond. Is it 10,000 or what? This is 13,000 millisecond. This is 18,000 millisecond. So you can get a clear picture. See now, first this timeout would be first console.log hi would be executed on the stack. Then this timeout would be executed on the stack. But the thing which are expected to run in the future, that will run on the web API. Presently we are using Node.js, so here C and C++ API are there that perform this execution, which would be expected to run in the future. Then first all the code would be pushed on the call stack. From the call stack, things which are expected to run on the future would be pushed on the web API. Web API will perform the execution, right, for expected duration. Presently you have just taken a timeout, but this can be your web Ajax call. This can be your what? Let's try to have that example also in a moment. Then it will perform. After performing that asynchronous operation, it will push the results on the callback queue. Callback queue continuously works on the parts which are available over here, and callback queue moves that thing to the execution stack or the call stack. So after the 10,000 millisecond, it is expected to run the XYZ. So after the 10,000 millisecond, this operation will completed. XYZ would be pushed on the callback queue. Callback queue will check continuously if any item is there or not. If there is an item, it will push on the call stack. See the output again. See the output again. Save and run. Hi. First timeout executed. Second timeout. Third timeout. Right. So this will complete. Would be getting pushed on the queue. Okay. This is complete. Would be getting pushed on the queue. See. This is getting completed, would be getting pushed on the queue. Okay, now I would like to see jQuery Ajax request, asynchronous jQuery. I have forgotten the syntax. Yeah, let's have this, let's have this. Let me have this call over here, and let's put at the last. Okay, so we don't have this thing. Get, here you need to provide the URL. Here you need to provide what? URL. Let's say https google.com. okay, and after some time let's remove the alert and add the console.log got the data. Here we can say got data from Google. Now save and run. See, first timeout executed, second timeout executed, third timeout executed. Ajax query. There is a problem in the Ajax query. See, that remains on the call stack, and whenever you get the errors, that errors are generally from the call stack only. Yeah, this is having some problem. This guy is not responding. The Google is not responding. First parameter is a URL, I think. Now I don't know which they are using. Yeah, $get test.php. This is URL. So here we can see req res.in. A sample fake API are there. You can get the data by means of fake API. Yeah, can you see this is a sample JSON you can get. Let me put that here and let us see what happens. Save and run. I think that should work now. I have forgotten the jQuery and I don't know which version they have used internally. Can you see here request not processing? This function is not processing the request and that's why it remains on the call stack. There is some error. There is some error. jQuery Ajax request JSON response. Parse JSON. Okay. Let's get this part. I have worked on the jQuery long back. Let us see. Not here. This is important just to understand how these things are working internally. And instead of this main.php, I will just paste this thing. Method is get, remember that. Data type is JSON. I think that data type means post level data type or get level data type. Let us see. It is expected to run. No. And why it is not working? One thing is that we don't know which internal version of jQuery they have used. Let's say a normal XML or REQ is equals to new. Let's have a normal JavaScript Ajax call. JavaScript XML HTTP request get example. Yeah, this is what we are needing. Just for example, I would like to show you this. How these things are working. This URL copy. And instead of this file name, you can paste it. Let us see. First timeout, second timeout. Yeah, executing. Ready state 4 has been called here. Can you see here anonymous function you have given? That's why it is executing here itself. So here it is showing the error. It is saying that I don't know what is this. Let's write a log. And can you see here this true is nothing but async true. So let's make it false, and now let's try to comment this out. Asynchronous execution in the JavaScript. We are explaining in detail, because if you want to send has been called, if loop is getting checked. See, now I have made it false. Here what I did, and instead of this function, let's write a separate function result. I'll name this function as result, and instead of this is success function, remember that this is what success function. Now that this will create a problem, so here I can say result. Now here I have made false, remember that. Let's try to run it. Send, again that it is checking the response. Just remove this loop and just say got the response. I can say what, console.log, and got the response. Save and run. Get, got the response, send. Okay. See, after send you can commit this send also. Got the response, and this part xhr dot open. Now I have made it false. Let me make it true and see what happens. So this true, these what you can say, this true and false are dependent on the async request or not. When you say it is true, this request is async request, right? Means if there is some execution and that you want to perform on what you can say asynchronously, you will make a true. This is typical, don't worry about that. For example, I am just showing you, you don't need to know all these things, just how call stack works on the different cases that we are working. Now let's try to send it. I have commented this line, save and run. And see, got the response you are getting afterwards, not immediately. You said that here you got the response after some time. If I set false over here, if I say false over here and again save and run, just a moment, this is spelling is wrong, false, and again run, compare it how it is working. See, it is executing. If you see this line prints at the last. Again see, right? This gets called, just see again, got the response, then send, and then this again see, hi, then get, then you got the response, then send, and then at the last this. If I make it true, save and run and see. And after that you are getting a response. So this line gets printed, and after that you get this asynchronous. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, any question?
So, but we got the response three times. The console not got the response.
Yeah, just don't worry about that. These are different states, right? If you see, there is a one state 4 and 200, right? There you get state multiple states. There are actually, when you, the working of the XML HTTP response is that state 1 you get, state 2 you get, state 3 you get, state 4 you get. But you are just here, you are just saying that tell me if just state is 3, because here you get all the states. So went request from my local machine, that is of 1, then reach to the server, state 2, come back from the server, state 4, uh, processing has done, state 3, then come back request from the server to the client, state 4. These are that state, don't worry about that thing.
For HTTP requests, sir, everything is happening in stack only.
No, actually, I think there is some concern that should go on the web API also. If there is some heavy processing, so thing is happening is that you are getting immediately, you are getting data immediately. That's why we cannot, I think, getting over here. Let's try to get a bigger object. You can say online PDF files, online PDF files, not PDF converter. You can say online Java book PDF 6. Let's try to put this file over there. Let's try to put this link over there. I don't know about this tool, but these requests also work asynchronously. See, you didn't get the response yet here. After some minute, you'll get one more response once that thing would be getting downloaded. Just refresh the code. And got the response. I think internally the XML HTTP they haven't implemented it, right? The simulation just they have used set timeout over here for the simulating purpose, but this also works on the same function. If you see, on ready state change is calling the function. On ready state change is a later process that doesn't happen immediately, right? This is a later process, this doesn't happen immediately. Look at the code again and resume it. See, it get, just a moment, here we will go. I think semicolon you need to write everywhere. This is the older version of a JS. Let's try to add this call inside this button. I'm removing this part from here. And cut and paste on the click of button. They have given already button. X const will work or not, I don't know. This is the result function. Okay, console.log high would be starting point. The starting point can be anything. Console.log high would be this. But I think this simulator work they have explained by means of set timeout. Let us see now. Save and run. This has been executed. Can you see on the web API? This web API it is executing because this click we don't know at what time. This click we don't know at what time you are going to click. Okay, now click it. Click has happened, and on the stack these things are working. But in my opinion, it should again come from here to here to wait and to execute this call. If you write this under the set timeout, then that will work whatever we want to see. Set timeout, here we can write function. If you want to simulate that, this function would be executing after 5000 milliseconds. After calling, after 5000 milliseconds, this function will work. Save and run. So it will execute over here. Why this send is outside? Okay, this is I think earlier. Now just try to click it. Yeah, see, anonymous function would be pushed over here and would be taken over here, and then get and send will happen like that. Okay, now I got it what's happening here. Generally we use async API. Let's try with the fetch. Let's try with the fetch API in JavaScript. Let's try to work with the fetch and let us see this works or not. So what we will do, instead of this we can add so I will remove this timeout completely, and here I will add, I don't know this support fetch or not, this tool supports fetch or not. Just copy and paste like this. Save and run. Just refresh the page. Refresh the page. Oh, remove the everything. Okay, let's try normal. I'll just paste it fetch, because do you remember that button ID? What's exactly that button ID? Nothing is happening. Why? Control Shift R. Yeah, async function. So there are multiple variations of this. Now something is happened with this tool. Let's open in incognito. There is loop. So this might be the problem of tool also, remember that. But according to me, that should work in that way only. The async part should go over here. Let's not take PDF. Now see, there is a no timeout over here, correct? It is taking timeout automatically. If you can see this thing, this timer, I have removed that actually. If you see at this time, it shows like this, but when I say save and run, it again switched to the timeout. Something problem with the tool, correct? I have copied the fetch API inside this function. I have copied what this fetch API inside this function, but instead of executing this fetch, it is executing set timeout. See, if I edit, it shows, which means that fetch API support is not there. Means new features are not supported. Okay, so my concern is correct. Whatever these web requests are, that should execute over here, right, on the call stack. That should execute over here, then come back to the result, should come back to the callback queue, and then again push to the call stack. So this is in general flow of this working.
Does promise will work here, sir?
I don't know. See, this is not a JavaScript. This is one of the tool. The people, one of the developer has written to explain the callback queue. Getting that? This is one tool, and there is a scope of modification. This is a tool. They have explained how does exactly callback works. This is an animation tool you can consider. Okay, you cannot expect full-fledged functionality like that, but it works for timeout accurately. If you see, likewise we have seen earlier, this is a 15,000, this is 25,000, you can say this is 18, and like that. Okay, so here we can say ABC, PQR, XYZ, and here LMN. Okay, save and run. Hi has executed this. Even they have add some delays over here, right? It absolutely works in a fraction of second. It executes in a fraction of second. So this is how callback. This is not what we can say all the JavaScript functionality they are demoing. They are just demoing few functionalities like timeout for explaining the callback queue. How does exactly this works? So methods are taken to the call stack. Call stack is going to execute the particular method. The feature methods, whatever things are going to be executed in the future, that put on the web API or C++ API. C++ API work over here. They pass the result to the callback queue, and queue gives you actual functions. Again, see, high executed, first timeout, ABC underwent execution, PQR underwent execution, PQR for particular duration, LMN went execution for duration. It would be pushed to the queue. Queue will send data to the callback stack for execution. Then XYZ will complete after 18,000 seconds. Right? It will be pushed to the queue. Queue will do that thing. So this work in this way. You are what you can say event loop. So this guy is a event loop, or this callback queue is a, together we call it as event loop. They work in this fashion. all the asynchronous requests get executed in this fashion. Things to remember are your node.js is a single threaded. Everything happens on the single thread, and they are going to manage in this way by means of call stack, by means of C++ API, web API, and the event loop. That is nothing but what event loop is. You need to remember this concern. You may get the question, what do you mean by event loop? At that time you need to answer this thing. This is nothing but what event loop is.
So, sir, how we can answer this question within one sentence or?
If you say asynchronous execution, for supporting asynchronous execution, JavaScript works in some, what you can say, JavaScript adopts a mechanism that is event loop, but you need to explain all these things after that.
Okay.
Right, the total scenario you need to explain.
And what does that the stack and web page and callback thing like in real synaptic? Are they part of memory or?
Yeah, they are part of the runtime. Call stack is a part of runtime. Whenever you have a JavaScript runtime, call stack is a part of that runtime. It's the internal execution. Even you do as a programmer, right? Many of the expert programmers don't know these things, or how internally call event loop works. But most of the time people ask this question in the interview. That's why I have covered this. For development time, you don't need this thing. So if you are developing something, if you are developing a program, and if you think that you need to know event loop, it is absolutely not necessary. But if you want to face the interviews, right, you need to know this thing. And it is good how runtime works. This is question specific to the runtime.
Okay. So basically we have two stacks. One is callback stack and one is normal stack. And other thing is web API.
Correct.
Whatever is returning to the web API, it is going to the
Queue. Here you can say queue.
yeah, callback queue.
So this is your stack. All the execution, all the future executions would be pushed on the queue. Sorry, this web API or C++ API. Here your processing will happen. After successful processing, it will push to the queue. Queue would be having event loop running continuously. So queue will see what things need to be taken under the execution. If there are any things, that things will be taken under the execution. Queue will push to the stack will execute and give you an output.
Okay, so queue will just work like a first in first out.
Yeah, that is queue. It will just maintain the things you need to work with. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Vikas, any query?
No, sir.
So we just we need to remember this flow. Anymore.
Yeah, you just need to remember this flow, how exactly this works.
Okay, and it's part of the internal mechanism of the software and hardware, whatever they are using behind the scenario.
Correct. So this is nothing but what event loop is. So your functions are executed in this way. Now, where is VS Code? Let me open the VS Code. File, just open recent. This is your batch. Today is day 5, correct? Day 5, and here I can create main.js. And in the main.js, let's have a function ABC. Let's have another function PQR. let's have another function lmn, right? Let's call abc here. abc is calling pqr, pqr is calling lmn, and lmn is throwing error, throw error. Okay, let's try to run this code. What's that? Node, let day 5, node main.js. Now if you see here, can you see? First it called abc, then it called pqr, then it called lmn, and you got error at the lmn. Stack, this is what stack. First what? abc you have called, abc would be pushed to the stack, then abc is calling pqr, then pqr would be pushed to the stack, then pqr is calling lmn, and lmn is throwing the error. So if you want to check the errors, so this is the first method. Remember that this is not a last method. The top of the stack would be always having the nearest method or the latest method under the execution. So what is the latest method under the execution? lmn. So your call begins from the abc. Here if you can say abc, in the abc is calling pqr, pqr is calling lmn, lmn may execute something or it may throw an error. Presently we are throwing the error, but if you can console.log, you can say hi, and again same thing happens in the browser also. Can you see? You don't get any output, but you can say straight away hi. But if you want to see the stack, let's print the error. This will print this complete stack of execution like this. Now same things will happen in a browser. Let me copy this, not here. Let's inspect it. We'll go to the console, clear, paste it, hit the enter. See, first you have called abc, uncaught error at lmn. There is an uncaught error. Here is a abc, here is a pqr, here is a lmn. Stack, javascript stack, this is the stack, right? That's what we have discussed. Now async programming happens out of the VM, remember that, out of your runtime. The async happens out of the runtime, callback happens out of the runtime. The stack is only thing that is inside your runtime, and this communication happens internally. You don't need to worry about that, how exactly this communication works, but this communication happens internally, and you get particular method on stack over here like that. And here also you can write, let's try to write, or here inside pqr we call lmn, and here also we can have set timeout. I can say function console.log, say hi after how many seconds? 10,000 milliseconds. Just clear it and see your execution will hold. Yeah, for the 10,000 milliseconds. Just uncomment this. You will see hi would be getting printed, and after 10,000 somewhere that is executing. Your program has been blocked, right? Program has not uh, stopped. Now it has stopped and it has executed the say hi, which means that this timeout, this 10,000 milliseconds is executing somewhere. That somewhere you can consider under the C++ API. That C++ API are executing this 10,000 millisecond or this processing. Once this processing happens, it returns this anonymous function. Now if you throw error over here, throw error inside this function, see what will happen now. Hi would be there, element would be getting printed. Just wait. Okay. Now see, error at the timeout on timeout. If you see, you got the error at, can you see, processed timers, list on timeout, then at timeout dot on timeout. At this function has been written internally. At this function there is an error. This function has given you error. But see the stack, process timers, list on timeout, and timeout dot on timeout. This here there would be error. This is also one of the stack. Remember that. And this happens somewhere else. Okay, inside a function timers.js. Remember that, timers.js. Now Chrome V8, just go to the GitHub, Chrome V8 engine, Chrome V8 engine. If you go to the Chrome V8 engine, go to the Google, go to the Node.js. On the Node.js website, there is a Chrome V8 engine here, where I have searched that. You can this release. Okay, you need to check out this branch. If you go inside this code, right, what I'm saying, if you go inside this code, right, you will not find that queue and other things. This is the source code, main branch. This is actual runtime. Just try to search over here. If you see error, in the internal folder there is a timer.js. Can you see? In the internal folder there is a timer.js. Just try to, these are the C++ files. In the internal folder there is a timer.js. In the internal folder there is a timer.js. Okay, here you will not find these files. Here you will not find this internal JS. Now just go to the Node.js. Node.js GitHub. Node.js GitHub. Now Node, can you see internal is there and timer.js. Why I have shown you this file? There is a reason. Means inside the runtime, this error is not coming from the runtime. Which error? This error is not coming from your V8 runtime. I'm repeating again, this error is not coming from the runtime, but this error is coming from third party API, that is nothing but the Node.js. Your V8 is a different, this is a runtime. A definition of a Node.js is that a framework written on the top of V8. Means these things are implemented in a Node.js. Your V8 just understand the JavaScript, that's it. I'm repeating again, your V8 just understand the JavaScript. It doesn't do anything more. But when you talk about these errors and other things, if you see timeout.onTimeout, and it is coming from which package? Internal timers.js. We searched it, is there any internals timer.js over here? We found that there is nothing under the V8. But we found that file under the Node.js, means Node.js C++ API are providing this feature. Can you see on timeout here? We are getting error over here. Means what is happening? Your C++ API means, which clearly is that your stack is inside. Let's go and find out the stack. Well, it's not easy to find out the stack in this way, right? You need to dig a lot, but remember that there is a stack. Well, I have seen that also day before yesterday, but I'm not getting exact file. But see, here is a stack. So V8 is having only what? Stack. V8 gives you stack only, and these things are provided by your Node.js or some of the things inside browser. Browser has some extra things that has been provided by, so that extra thing provides this async execution related API and this API. This has been provided by your framework like Node.js and the browser's web API. But inside the V8, Chrome is built on the top of V8. So what is a V8? Chromium V8. So your browser Chrome is built on the top of this runtime. So runtime is not having these functionalities for executing async things, right? That has been implemented by the third party frameworks like Node.js, right? Or some of other API in your Chrome browser or in your browser. Got it? So that one thing I had to tell you. So this is your stack, you can say stack. So I just call it as API. These all are API, and that API are third party. Whole this part comes under the API, this execution. Okay, so you need to know you don't need to know these internal source code level details of the framework or your runtime. No one is going to ask you. But if you want to perform some research and development, right, if you want to perform some R&D, these things are required to you. Okay, I was knowing that thing, that's why I told you. If you have any query, you can ask me. If you have any query, you can ask me.
Sir, how these things work, like the third party things inside the browser? So did browser update their self if something is added in the?
Yes, browser is having a lot of things, right? Along with the runtime, browser is having a lot of things, and like same whatever Node.js does, same thing browser does, but in a different manner. Browser might have this file, we don't know, right? Browser might have this file, we don't know, but browser works in a on the same lines.
Okay, got it.
Correct? Fine. So Let me stop this much recording.